Welcome to week 9 of Inside D2 Football. I am Whit, joined with my guys Poe, Ferg, and Tony. And guess what? We don't have any Chuck with us tonight. Everybody's going, where's our guy Chuck at? It's Chuck's birthday. He decided that this was gonna be his bye week. So
Happy birthday, Chuck.
Exactly. Now, we didn't ask Chuck how old he was. I'm sure he's in his 50s, or maybe I'm just taking shots at him because he's not here. But feel free if you want to go ahead and take any shots at Chuck in the comments. He's not here to defend himself, but maybe he'll sneak on in there if he feels like he really has to. But well, fellas, how are you guys doing? We're almost to the point where we're at regional rankings. Are you guys starting to feel like you're ready for that, or how do you feel?
Sure. I feel like I'm ready to answer all the questions people are going to have.
Okay, then. Ferg's ready to be the answer man and speak on behalf of Chuck as well. I like it. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our first contest, the biggest game, frankly, every year in Division II football. And that contest was between Grand Valley and Ferris State. Heck of a ball game. I mean, we came into this game, we talked about it last week, with maybe some concerns that this game wasn't going to live up to the standards of what this game normally is year in and year out. And I was really pleased to see that the rivalry aspect and the distaste these two teams have for each other won the day, and they really wanted to get after each other, and we had a great ball game. I'm going to go ahead and go on over to Tony here in just a moment. We're going to unpack a little bit of the highlights, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what he was able to go ahead and see firsthand. We've got we're starting on off here. You're going to see Carson Gulker, former quarterback, playing a little bit of bumper cars there for Ferris as the action begins. And Ferris took the ball, went right down the field, and got going with it. And Tariq Brett, number 10, has really kind of taken another step with this program as an offensive weapon. Had 4 touchdowns on the day, and was a threat every time he was touching the football. And you're going to go ahead and see a bit of a whoops there by Grand Valley early. They were doing some nice things as they were moving the football. And then as we move a little forward, Grand Valley Ferris is up 14-0. Kind of has some of those feels early, like, okay, maybe it's a situation where Ferris is going to get away a little bit. And then all of a sudden you see Evan Fortney gets hit with a shot there right on the sideline. He kind of skates on in for the score. And then you see right here, just when I'm thinking that maybe Grand Valley's going to get a stock, Tariq Brett, great block, by the way, ahead of the action. And he goes ahead and scores once again. And he's just becoming a much greater threat for them on the offensive side than he was last year, where he was a little bit of that, but a great kick returner. But when it was 21-7, guys, I really felt that it was a standing 8 count where Grand Valley was in trouble. And they really responded very well to this. They got the short passing game going, and then they were able to go ahead and hit some shots down the field once they got closer to the goal. And we had a 21-all game just before half. And you're going to go ahead and see another play where Brett's going to go ahead and get loose, and they go ahead and they grab the lead just before halftime. And, Grand Valley keeps on coming, but you see here, Justin Payout makes a huge play. I think maybe one of the better defensive players in all of Division II. When you watch the amount of ground he covers for that team and the amount of things he does, just a really impressive ball player all the way around. I think he even led him in tackles in this game, if I'm not mistaken. And, as we continue on, I felt like this was kind of the moment where Ferris kind of separated a little bit in this ball game. They were always kind of the lead dog, and Grand Valley didn't go away. Nice screen here for the score by and that was about the last gasp, though, where Grand Valley wasn't able to go ahead and get another chance after that. But I thought an extremely well fought game in which Grand Valley actually outgains Ferris. Tony, I realize I unpacked a whole bunch right there, but give me some of your impressions after being there at the contest.
Yeah, so great atmosphere. They had 10,000 plus there yesterday, so kudos to Ferris and their staff for putting on a good show. I think the only thing I might challenge you on is to say that, yeah, I understand the premise that Ferris, seemed like they were in control throughout a lot of that game. At the same time, it's 28-24. Neither team scores a point in the third quarter. And Grand Valley's actually got a really good drive going. And they get down to the top of the red zone, and that's when they threw the interception that you saw Payout make. And so that's a drive where up to that point, they had been doing mostly Brady Drogosh and using the run game, and Ferris couldn't stop it. And so it was a little bit, everybody kind of up in the box was a little scratching their heads like, okay, why the deep shot there? Because everybody could see Ferris was leaning. And at that point, Grand Valley's going in. If they get a touchdown on that drive, they take the lead. Yep. So, it's for as much as Grand Valley never held a lead in this game, at that point, they were on the cusp of doing it and had kept Ferris in check enough to where it would have been, something that was viable to really change the flow of the game potentially. At the end of the day, you're right. Grand Valley definitely did play one of the best games, if not the best game they played all year. They outgained Ferris. They had more first downs. They were better on third down. The run game probably wasn't necessarily elite, but it was far more serviceable, certainly than it was last week, and then it has been throughout much of the season. So that was much more of a complete effort from the Lakers in this game. But at the end of the day, these games come down to mistakes. And Grand Valley had 3 possessions that made it at least to Ferris's 30 or closer that netted 0 points. That's the kind of thing that you just can't do in a game like that. Ferris had no such issues. And when Grand Valley fell behind, gave up the field goal and was down a full 7 there at 31-24, they had a possession where Ferris, they had a couple chances to get Ferris off the field, and a penalty on fourth down deep in their own end actually got Ferris a first down. And just little mistakes like that helped Ferris in that drive to be able to get that touchdown and stretch it back out to 14. And so in a game like that, those are the types of things that you just can't do. And that's what keeps, a team from getting over the hump in a game like this against the number 1 team in the country. So I think you're right. I think it was a great game in general. And Grand Valley had their chances really to make this game go in different directions. And just every time they got into that spot where they could really affect it, they just didn't execute.
I felt like Grand Valley did a decent job of slowing down Wyatt Bauer in the running game, where they didn't let him get loose a whole lot. But Tariq Brett, I thought we saw him kind of take that extra step. And man, Tony, when he gets the ball in open field, good luck. I mean, he's just a handful.
Hey, some of the local media here in West Michigan have talked about Tariq Brett like he's just like this emerging or a new star. I'm like, I don't know what you guys were watching, because we talked about him all last year. That guy was making all kinds of plays last year too. And the one thing I will say is that there were a couple of times where what Ferris schemed up did a beautiful job of getting him the ball in space. There were a couple of plays where he just made good plays. The one thing that I would say that both teams would like to have back is their tackling in space, because both teams were able to get some extended drives and extended length plays out of plays where defenders were actually positioned correctly and they just weren't able to make tackles. Tariq Brett probably took advantage of that as much or more than anybody, but both teams actually got some plays that were probably a little bit longer than they thought they were going to be, because guys were able to shed tacklers or make guys miss or make somebody take a bad angle. And that's the nature of what you're doing. You got guys that are that athletic on both sides of the ball that are out there trying to make plays. You're trying to get those guys in space and making guys miss, because that's what they're good at. So, kudos to the Bulldogs for getting that done. But again, I think throughout a lot of that game, there were some times there where I think Ferris may have been a little bit surprised too at how often they thought they were in the good position to make a play, and Grand Valley was able to extend, either break a tackle or get a first down out of something that looked like it was bottled up.
Coach Poe, as I kind of turn to you for a moment, Andrew Schuster, we've got 2 redshirt freshman quarterbacks playing here. Guys who are, young fellows on a huge stage like this. you watch Schuster there, and you kind of go, okay, this Grand Valley's got to be pretty okay with what he's going to be in the future, don't you think, Coach?
I do. I think when you're in that environment, you're 23 for 39 for 347 and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he threw a pick, but he had 3 touchdowns. I think the composure and in a game like that and the pressure and 10,000 people, I mean, that's not an easy environment for some guys to play in. And I thought, did an exceptional job. I think he is cementing himself as the signal caller for Grand Valley for the foreseeable future, guys.
Ferg, so I walk away with this weird feeling like the team that might have the best chance to beat Ferris, at least in this super region, may be the one who's also fallen out of the playoff picture at the same time. Are you getting those same feelings, Ferg?
Yeah, I mean, Ferris is a little bit of a buzzsaw right now. And, you kind of wonder who can really challenge them. I just don't know the answer to that question right now. I think some of it is that the other teams and the other conferences are sort of beating up on each other. Yep. And then you kind of have to wonder if they have the defense, do they have the offense, and vice versa. I mean, I think that shows how a complete team Ferris just seems to be.
Sure. And, obviously Tony and I will get a chance to have this all soak in, look at regional rankings and all that stuff, which for those who are tuning on in, we're not going to be talking a lot about regional ranking projections and all that, because frankly, that comes out tomorrow and it's going to be the alphabetical list, which really doesn't offer us a whole heck of a lot. So exactly, I'm with Tony, thumbs down on that. But, when those come on out, they're going to be the list of 10 for each super region. Then we'll have a chance to get a better idea of kind of where we're going from there. But it's still a bit premature right now. But I think that there's a concern if you're a Grand Valley fan that, you may not be on that page come tomorrow because of, maybe strength of schedule or signature win, whatever you want to throw at it. But it's still to be seen or determined. And Tony and I will break more of that down on GLIAC Weekly this week. But certainly Ferris, I think, cements themselves as the number 1 seed without any question. And a heck of a ball game. And Tony, we didn't really have a chance to talk with you much about kind of the full game day environment you had. Our friends from D1R, Division I Rejects, did their remote there and looked like a great crowd, a lot of energy to it. You can get a chance to see kind of both sides there. This looked like this was a high energy venue to be at.
Yeah, they definitely had. Both sides were full, and obviously it's hard from a long distance, but that's the view that you have, is you're trying to get the wraparound effect, and things were full even on that berm and that southwest corner of the end zone there, and so it was pretty packed, and again, it was loud and it was chippy, and it was just like I say, it's they're around different parts of the country to get 10,000 folks to a game is sometimes a little bit of a challenge in Division II. And so, it's a thrill to be able to see all these, these different places in Michigan that are able to do this, more than once in a season. And so, again, hats off to both clubs for what they did. And Rob and Sandy, of course, had me up there again and are always gracious, both with their time and their resources as far as giving us what we need to do what we do. And I got a chance to talk to Kobe too, which was neat. So I didn't get a chance to check out the tailgate show that he had going on, but we got a chance to talk a little bit during the game and whatnot. And I did see some clips of things. So, I mean, they had both coaches on and some different celebs, if you will, within the rivalry and whatnot. So it was a great environment. And, I was glad the game definitely did live up to it. It was a very entertaining game that went down to the end. And it's good for D2 when things are rolling like that.
No doubt about it. Well, let's go ahead. Coach Poe, we're going to talk a little bit more about your part of the world here in regards to Delta State and West Alabama. West Alabama with, if I'm not mistaken, their second straight home game here in kind of a high profile contest, and Delta State ends up getting the win in a well fought game. And you go ahead and you see some of the stats there. Cole Kirk was playing quarterback for the most part for Delta and scored on some long ones because he completes 6 balls and has 222 yards.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Spencer Arsenault did some more real good things, but did turn over the ball twice. Once again, in a key game like this. I'm going to throw on a little bit of video, and then I'm coming back to you, Poe, and we're going to kind of talk through this a little bit. And as we go ahead and we see there's Cole right there scoring right away in this contest. Delta scores early, and then you're going to go ahead and see. And the first thing I noticed when I threw on the video, this is why we say the Gulf South has just a different level of athleticism and speed. I mean, that the ability to pull away from guys is something that you see a whole heck of a lot by some of the wideouts and some of the skill players on the Gulf South. Just really athletic conference. And you go ahead and you're seeing Delta, kind of gets up early, continues to go ahead and hit shots down the field, and some big plays like we were alluding to. And it kind of felt like, what was it? I think Delta was up by about 17 or so at half. And, West Al was just kind of having to play chase in this one. And, it was a shootout, but at the same time, they're up 10 with 2 minutes left and a little bit, too little too late. And it's Delta State. Coach Poe, give us a little more of a deep dive than what I had there, my friend.
Yeah, Delta got out to an early start, and I think that really kind of set the tone for this game, guys. West Alabama, second straight home game, you hit on it, it's homecoming. I felt like they got out the gate a little bit slow in this one. They got down 13-0 early. They trailed 34-17 at the half. So a slow first half really kind of put them behind the 8 ball. And then they get it going in the second half, and particularly the third quarter. They came out, played well. They scored 14 points right off the jump, and I felt like they got themselves back in the game. It made it 34-31 there in the third quarter with about 7 minutes left. And then Delta State was able to convert score. And then they kind of ballooned that lead back up to 10. And then it was just kind of smooth sailing from there. Fourth quarter. West Alabama did get a touchdown, but it was like you said, a little bit too little, too late, and just wasn't enough time for them to complete that comeback. But some things that really kind of stuck out to me, Whit, and I think when you pull up the stats in this one, guys, you see a stat line that's almost identical. Whether, for example, in total yardage, I mean, it was 453 to 429. These teams are pretty much identical when you're looking at the stat line. Everything from rushing, passing, time of possession was almost identical. First downs, third down conversions, fourth downs, all that type of stuff. It was really impressive seeing both of these teams. But some things that stuck out to me, and I think it was that quarterback play at Delta that really kind of set this game apart for them. Cole Kirk, you mentioned it, and this was what was crazy. They had 11 completions for 298 yards. That's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely absurd. Cole Kirk had 6 completions for 222 and 3 touchdowns, added that rushing one that we saw there. So big game from him. But then Garrett Ames comes in. He has 5 completions, 76 yards, and 1 more touchdown, right, in the air. So I think that's really, really big. At the quarterback position, they were able to manage the game for Delta State. They got out early. They managed the game. They minimized mistakes, and that really makes it hard for West Alabama. A couple other things real quick. Special teams, guys. We don't talk a lot about special teams on the show. Really impressive. Punting, Price Nixon, he averaged 42 yards a punt. Really good average. He pinned West Alabama twice inside the 20. That's really hard field position to have to make up. Yeah, you got the athletes. Really hard to get drives going when you're pinned inside the 20. They did that twice. And then the Delta State defense had a late stop on that 4th and 2 there in the fourth quarter to kind of ice that game for them, and they were able to run the clock out. But West Alabama, again, started slow, guys. They just, when you fall behind, in this case 13-0 in the first quarter, it's really hard to get it going, right? You have a big crowd there. It rained a little bit, so it didn't really play a factor in it, but you had a good crowd. You really got to get out the gate quicker if you're West Alabama. Spencer Arsenault, 24 completions for 285 yards, those 2 touchdowns, or the two touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Those were big, I feel like. In a game where you're in the chase, when you're behind the 8 ball to start with, you got to minimize your mistakes to get yourself back in the game, and they just weren't able to do that. Was West Alabama. So, obviously second home game in a row where they just came up a little bit short. I think West Alabama is a very good football team, guys. I just think they got out to a slow start, and that kind of doomed them from the start. And if you're Delta, man, that's exactly how you wanted to start this game. You wanted to come out, you wanted to come out here and set the tone early. and just keep it rolling, knowing that you had to focus on this game and not look ahead what's coming in next week if you're Delta.
Ferg, it feels like in these last two contests with West Al, they fell behind a fair amount early, meaning they were just kind of chasing the action by like 2 scores by halftime or so. I mean, it just feels like that's a tough way to win ball games when you're having to constantly play that style of football.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the warning signs were already there because we saw that happen against Charleston too. And you know that they just ran out of magic or luck or something in a scenario like that, and you just can't do that against really good teams. You'll fall behind and you can't catch up, and so be it. I mean, Delta had the right game plan. They certainly attacked that secondary on those really long passes and exposed some weaknesses for West Al. But yeah, it wasn't the first time this season, or even the second time we've seen that happen.
Tony, I'm going to ask you point blank. Do we think West Alabama is going to be a playoff squad?
If they can win out, having 2 losses in that region, I would still put them at maybe 50-50. The question then becomes is, are they going to be able to play consistently enough on both sides of the ball to actually win games after that?
Sure.
You know, because this is a game where if you really stop and look at it, I mean, one of the things that I was concerned about for West Al was I would have thought, you know, Delta State's defense probably for 60 minutes, I would have thought would have been the sterner of the 2 tests. And boy, you take a couple of those big plays out of this, and West Al actually may have had the better of this. So it's one of those things where maybe West Al's defense is a little better than we thought, and they just, you know, getting beat over the top is that Achilles heel. And if they can shore that up, maybe they are somebody that still is going to be dangerous if they could find a way to sneak into one of the last bracket lines. But, you know, as it sits, I mean, 2 losses I would think wouldn't keep you out. Just the only tough part for them is obviously now they've got a chance to get a marquee win each of the last 2 weeks and came up, you know, 1 score short both times.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, with our super regions and things of that sort. With the golf style teams playing each other and kind of beating up on each other here at the end of the year, you have to think that whichever ones make it in the playoffs are going to be pretty well seasoned. You know, for that postseason run. I mean, Ferg shaking his head because he knows this is nothing new. It's just they're having to play a shorter golf style schedule than they had in the past because of the amount of teams that are in it. But still, every week, guys, we're going to be watching games in this conference because they're going to have top 25 contests. You know, basically throughout the rest of the regular season. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the third and final game. This was a game that I made a trip on up to, about a 3-hour drive, and it was basically a playoff elimination game for people who are the two loss squads, Jack Strand and company for Minnesota State Moorhead, and then we had Northern State up playing at the bank, as they call it. One of the nicest stadiums in Division II. They've been playing there since 2021. And I went ahead and got a little bit of video while I was there and ended up getting a better game than I was even expecting. This thing goes into overtime. A heck of a contest. And we'll go ahead and roll that, and we'll come back on kind of break that down here momentarily. But I kind of mentioned, you know, I have not gotten a chance to see Jack Strand. Who is one of the guys who's probably in the top 5-10 for Harlan Hill, one of the top passers at our level. He is a big person, 6'5", 240 or whatever he is. I'm standing next to him, and I'm not a small guy, and he's a big fella, and he moves better than I realized as well. They're allowing him to escape the pocket a little bit every once in a while. So let's go ahead and throw on some video. You'll see Jack right here. Just kind of zipping the ball all around the yard is kind of what they do. And this is at that nice stadium that they're at. And nice fake here. Almost got the cameraman while he was at it. But a little bit of ground and pound with Jack Strand right there. And you see him escape the rush and just his command of their offense and where guys are going to be. And then on Northern State side, you go ahead and see they have the 2 quarterback system there. It's Daniel Britt, who is a very good running back, the kind of guy running quarterback, kind of like you would see at Ferris. And then they go ahead and they go ahead and hit the open shot assuming with Moorhead assuming run there. And we've got ourselves a heck of a ball game here, back and forth. And you see Strand cooking a little bit there. And once again, he's a little quicker than most people realize. And but he's bigger than all his teammates. And here he is kind of sitting back in the pocket. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and dial up one in the corner for a score. And they got up to 11 points in this game. I kind of figured with about 7 minutes it was going to be over. Then Northern State Birdsong here with a heck of a move gets in for the score, and we end up going to overtime. And Wyatt Block scrapes on in. He's on Ferg's fantasy team. I know that. So that leaves Jack Strand and company with 7 points to go ahead and tie this on up. Well, of course, he's not going to get stopped, and he goes ahead and scores here. And they decide they're going to go for 2. I applaud these kind of decisions. They kind of have a little trickeration. I'm in the middle here trying to get the shot. There's going to be a receiver coming across the middle. He's wide open, and the ball gets tipped away and almost hits me square in the face. But as you can see, total pandemonium there, and what was a heck of a ball game. Guys, best ball game I've seen this year. And, they had, for them, which was a small crowd, they had like 5,000 there, which was small for them. And it was still a whole lot of energy. And getting a chance to see that Moorhead offense up close again, always fun because they are never a dull moment. 647 yards for Northern State to 504. This, if you were looking for defensive stops, this was not the place to be. So this was a lot of fun offensive football. Now, I did not realize that while I was, and by the way, we kind of made reference a little bit to I was at the contest. So I posted this on socials, only to find in my absence that Chuck was, I was catching strays. And Ferg, you were in on this too, apparently. Ferg, we got to talk a little bit. And then the guys from D1R decided that they're going to chime on in. So I was catching all kinds of grief from you guys. That's, I remember this, Ferg. I see how it is. Now, the play that was in question a moment ago, I'm the guy on the end line right there who's circled in yellow in case you can't figure out who that is. And so we're going to do a quick little breakdown before we move to our next game about the athleticism I have getting out of the way on this play. So we don't often use slow-mo on the show, but we're going to break it down. I mean, what better time to use it, right, Tony?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
The ball gets tipped, and then there's the guy in the gray jacket back there, and whoop.
Wow.
He gets out of the athleticism involved there. I had coaches from in the Northern Sun sending me clips saying, we saw you on the last play. I don't know if they necessarily meant that in a complimentary way because they were able to find me so easily. But, yeah, I'll tell you guys right now, if I did not move, that ball would have hit me flush right in the face. And all I could think about when I saw the tip ball come into my face was, I don't need this to be any more about be me with a bloody nose and leaving the field in a hot mess after the game. And I thought for a brief moment about trying to catch it. But I was busy holding my camera, so you know how that would have worked out. I would have wore it again. So anyhow, if you think we did a breakdown there, just wait till we get us to NSIC Weekly. But
so it would have only been a compliment if one of the coaches had said, hey, we saw you get out of the way. Do you have any eligibility left? Okay,
right.
That's number one.
I normally don't show up on the all 22, but yes.
Exactly. And then number two, I genuinely don't think that you were, showing any great athleticism. I think you were already frightened by the guy over your right shoulder there who looks like he's one of those dudes who skis after James Bond down a mountain in a James Bond movie, right? So I don't think I would have wanted to stay in the stadium if that dude's lurking behind me for too long.
Let's say what's up with that? With a 6 p.m. kick. Yeah, with a 6 p.m. kick and it being Halloween-ish for them.
Wait for Halloween then, for Pete's sake. I mean,
no, they weren't. There was plenty in costume, and let's just say they had plenty of time to get primed for this game. So
apparently Halloween adjacent is probably good enough in Aberdeen, South Dakota, it would appear. So
yeah,
Tony,
so
good for them.
What he
Mazel
didn't tell you, what he didn't mention to us is that when he said he had people from the Northern Sun, he meant the athletic trainers coming over to check on him and make sure he was pulling anything when he got out of the way.
I was confused.
Oh, they know the level of athletes.
It happens easily. You know, what do you want?
Yeah, they know the level of athlete they're dealing with.
Clarify that.
Thanks, Poe.
So guys, as we look at this now, Moorhead probably out of the race. Northern State still in the race. We're kind of drawing that line at if you have 2 losses, you're still in. Once you have 3 losses, you're hoping for a whole lot of other things to go right. We're not saying turn in your gear, but you know what? You got to have some things go right for you. Now, Ferg, I'm going to ask you first. How do you when you get a chance to see these teams, do you think a Northern State can compete in the playoffs, or do you think that they're a team that what is your initial thought?
Well, anytime you have a really solid run game and it's to complement the pass game, I mean that really stands out to me as the ability to sort of control the clock. So I think maybe what concerns me a little bit is giving up this many points. Because that doesn't hold up very well in the playoffs in recent memory. But I mean, do I think they could compete? Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Especially when you look around at, who's in the super region. Yeah, if they get the right matchups, absolutely.
I'd tell you guys, I wish their fortunes were a little different. And maybe they had beaten Bemidji a few weeks back when they tripped up on them, because them having a home game at the bank would be an entertaining thing come playoff time. But Coach Poe, Jack Strand does not look like the average Division II quarterback. He is a big fella who can sling it, and you could probably see he's got a very quick release. When you see a guy like that, he is in the top 5 prospects for Division II, possibly going the NFL. You see him being the kind of guy who has that kind of upside, or do you think maybe because of the fact that he comes from an offense that just throws and throws and throws, and maybe he hasn't run the ball a ton, you think that hurts him a little? What are your thoughts?
No, I think what it does is it shows his ability to read defenses, right? Like he's got a pretty good release. He shows how quick his release is, and he makes good decisions with the football. Any quarterback can take the snap, hand it off, go through the run game, things in that nature. But I think it really says a lot about Jack to be able to stand back there and throw that ball all over the yard, so to speak. And it shows his decision making. It shows how quick his release is, his touch on the football, his ability to throw different routes, right? Like their route tree is, and their concepts are expansive, they're quite large in what they do. So he shows his ability to throw the short intermediate routes. He has touch on the ball deep down the field. I think he'll be on some teams' radar. It'll be interesting to see if he's a draft guy. Is he a potential invite guy? If a non-draftee invite, it just depends. It'll be interesting to see as it goes through the draft process, but I think the offense is set up to showcase Jack and his abilities. So I think he'll garner some attention, and where that falls, it's really hard to speculate on where he'll go with that.
Yeah. I mean, I would have loved to have seen him get a chance come the playoffs. And I mean, they have 3 losses. Maybe he still will, but heck of an exciting player to watch, not to mention the game I got a chance to see. And kudos to Northern State, another big win after beating Duluth there just a few weeks ago. So, guys, let's go ahead and we're going to move past kind of our breakdown games and look at the rest. There's a whole lot of real good information and games to unpack here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of do my own little 2-minute version of this, because I know we spent a fair amount of time on those other contests. And we'll go ahead and get to the other guys here momentarily, but I'm going to do a bit of a run through where UTBB, I felt that they rebounded very nicely here. We had some concerns after the last few weeks that they'd be able to take care of a West Texas, and they made West Texas not look like a dangerous team here. They really handled them. And on the other side, Western Colorado, this was a close game for much of the first half, and then Western Colorado really took off and owned the game in the second half in a way that we think they should if they're going to be a team that's top 5, top 10 nationally. And I thought this was maybe their toughest contest yet and they really, I thought, passed it with flying colors. A team that's going to be all the more on our radar in the coming weeks when they play their toughest contests. This was a surprise to me. I was heading on up to my game, driving on up, and I saw it was 13-0. Wayne State early, and I thought this is an upset alert I didn't see coming at all. Wayne State's offense has been a little bit challenged this year. They haven't been able to throw the ball the way they had in the past. Don't worry, they just ran for 380 in this one against Mankato, which is really uncharacteristic. But as their defensive coordinator, Scott McLaughlin, has here, that can stay on all night, and I can understand that at Wayne. It's not every week where you beat a Mankato like this. So congratulations for Wayne State on a big win for them and their program. As we kind of flip through, Northwood continues to play very good football on a one-sided win. And I got a chance to watch the Findlay contest. Interesting ball game because it tied 7-7.5. Yeah, real slow going. And then ODU gets the lead in the third quarter, is up by 2 scores. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe is this where the Findlay thing, kind of comes undone? And then they rallied, and Danny Furlong, 3 touchdowns, all over, I think, 30 yards for Findlay as they go ahead and rally and win 27-20. And, they've got their biggest game still ahead of them, namely against the team on the other part of the slide. But, they to Findlay's credit, despite some of these challenges, they have continued to win, and they're 8-0 at this point. So they're inside of the top 20 here and keep on moving. Now, as we go ahead and we continue through, we've got Mountain East action. Charleston staying alive here with a win over Fairmont State. Then Frostburg with another win here, or their win over Wheeling. And Frostburg's kind of in the driver's seat right now in the Mountain East. Be interesting to see, I'd love to see them in the playoffs, get a squad that, I'm all about getting teams who aren't in it all the time. Let's go ahead and see a little bit more flavor with that. And then as we kind of move through, IUP rebounded. We kind of figured, a lot of us, I think, we're kind of favoring the idea of them rebounding, and they did. They're now 3-1, I believe, in the PSAC West, and they're tied with Edinburgh, who if I'm not mistaken, I think they've already beaten. And so IUP's still in the mix, and then you got Kutztown, who just continues to take care of business in real one-sided fashion. They're going to have some of their tougher contests upcoming too, but that's some of the update there in the PSAC. Then an interesting outcome here is East Stroudsburg, which we really thought was maybe the team that was going to be able to challenge for a playoff spot. Shepherd has been on a hot run lately, and they go ahead and get a win here. Now, I am going to pause for a moment. We've got Valdosta, which I'll be frank, guys, I didn't see this one coming. They beat North Greenville right after North Greenville had a big win against Pembroke the week before. Now, I kind of felt like, Valdosta had 2 weeks to prepare for this with the bye, and they kind of dusted themselves off. And, really, I think, showed well. Coach Poe, once again, I'm going to kind of knock on your door here. What are your thoughts about this one with Valdosta?
Yeah, it was an impressive win. I thought, I thought they played the best I've seen them play all year. I thought they played a complete game against a formidable opponent, not to take anything away from the games they played earlier, but they played a formidable opponent. They played their best football, and I think they really got value out of that bye week at the right time. But a lot still in front of those guys, and it's kind of interesting to say this one is their toughest 3 games of the schedule are coming up with Delta, West Al, West Florida. So it's kind of a little bit of a murderer's row for them. And it's kind of odd to say that they're on that side of it and not the other side. But it'll be interesting to see if they can spoil someone's season here down the stretch.
Absolutely. As we continue on, Northwest was 7-0 against Kearney after 3 quarters. Kearney had 83 yards of offense at that time, and Northwest put the ball on the rug a few times, a few fumbles by their quarterback, and we kind of thought that maybe they were due for a little bit of a letdown, and for them to have this be their version of a letdown and still play shutout football, and the Lopers didn't even get to 120 yards, I don't think. And Northwest was still able to, this is one of those games that had a tight score, but they won comfortably, if there is such a thing. This Northwest defense, you start to say, how good are they? They've given up 3 points in the last 2 weeks with Hayes last week. And then on the other side, a pretty interesting outcome, I thought. You have Northeastern State in Oklahoma, for those who aren't familiar with it, wins the President's Cup 28-21 over Central Oklahoma. And this is a rivalry game there. And, the Riverhawks are kind of having a sneaky good season. They played well against West Florida a few weeks ago, and then they did beat Saginaw Valley earlier in the year. But, this at the same time, it probably puts UCO down a full notch from there. If we thought that they maybe had a chance, I think now that they have 4 setbacks, probably not thinking that any longer. Then just a few more games to go. Ouachita came through for some of us in the pick'em and in a resounding fashion. And Southern Arkansas was really in a tremendous spot for the playoffs. Now that's a little bit, a little dicey. They have 2 losses, but we know that they're going to have a strength of schedule at 500. Can't be better because of their conference format. So that might limit them a little bit. We'll have to see. But big win for the Tigers there. And then on the other side, a little bit of a surprise. Southwest Oklahoma goes ahead and kind of handles East Central, which is a team that we can't really seem to figure out. They can be up and down. They can punch high, but then it feels like they also kind of have a little bit of a low ceiling or a low floor. But Southwest Oklahoma, 4th win, and kudos to them for kind of continuing on like they have been there. And in the GAC, a little bit of a surprise here. I kind of thought Henderson State, but in a soggy, wet environment, their quarterback Andrew Edwards could not get it going. I think he had 110 yards passing or something like that. And Arkansas Tech continues to have a better season than they've had recently. We thought maybe they were going to be an outside playoff shot. I'm not sure if we're going there, but you know what? They've still had a nice uptick. And a game that I was a little surprised by is Western Oregon. They beat UTPB. Now they go and they win at Kingsville. This is a team, guys, that has 1 loss in Division II. And all of a sudden, they're kind of in that conversation now. They had this happen maybe 2 seasons ago, and then kind of had the toughest games down the stretch. Well, they do yet again. But you know what? You got to get yourself in position to get in the playoffs in the first place. Mm-hmm. So, our guy John Dykstra says top 25 Western Oregon. I'm not really sure I'm ready to go there quite yet, but I think sometimes John just does that to try and get my attention a little bit there, guys. But
they might be closer than we would. They might be closer than we would have thought.
They could very well be. And then a little bit of a surprise. St. Anselm was looking like they were going to be a potential playoff team. Instead, Southern Connecticut State wins that contest. And then the Rangers ride. The Northwest Oklahoma State Rangers go ahead and get a W, first time there this year. And in case anyone was wondering, Jerry Glanville is no longer the defensive coordinator there, for those who were wondering about that, because that was something we talked about, probably about a year ago or so. Mm-hmm. Last thing is congratulations to Coach Garen Higgins. We will be having him on MIAA Weekly to talk about the fact that he is now the winningest coach in Emporia State history. They were down 2 scores in this game at UCM, came on back and won. I tell you, every time we think that maybe they're going to start to take a little bit of a slide, they go and start winning games like this and really show us that we are not on top of that. So I'm on now after the 2-minute hustle, maybe more like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to move on to my guy, Ferg. Ferg, boots on the ground.
Yeah, baby.
Ferg, you were wearing like that little bit of like that. What do we call that? Like that material. You look like you would be warm right there, Ferg. No,
It was quite cozy, I must say. Quite lovely.
Quite cozy. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your day there at Tiffin. Not just the football game, but tell us a little bit about you making a visit.
Well, it was my first time taking in a GMAC game, and I was very excited to do that. Happened to just be in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd stop by. Yeah, it was pretty intense, very passionate crowd between these two squads. I'd spent more time on the Ashland side of the field, just taking in the game. It felt like two evenly matched teams in a lot of ways. I arrived right at halftime, right as Ashland had kicked the field goal to extend their lead to 7. And I thought Tiffin had a appropriate response coming out of the half. They got the ball down the field and scored, and then they got a turnover really deep in Ashland territory. Ashland fumbled the ball away, but Ashland's defense, and they stepped up several times in this game, and they bowed up. And not only did they stop Tiffin, but they also special teams blocked the field goal. That was critical. I thought that Alex Johnson did a really nice job for Tiffin, had over 400 yards passing, but man, that defense, it seemed like Ashland was intent on taking away that running game of Tiffin's, and they did exactly that. They had -2 rushing yards, which is like, man, in general, it's just unheard of. But for Tiffin, yeah, that's a big deal. In the end, I would say that penalties for Tiffin just did them in. When you got a top 20 team, that's on the road, and you're trying to apply the knockout punch, you're fighting back, and they spend a lot of time doing that. And the very last drive of regulation, penalties twice extended that drive, at least that Ashland can kick the field goal to go into overtime. And certainly kudos to the Eagles for what they were able to do in overtime. But it was a great atmosphere, man. It's very passionate fan bases. Very hard-nosed football by both teams, and really enjoyed the game. Really had a good time.
Ferg, did anyone notice you from D2Football.com, or were you able to go ahead and complete anonymity there?
Well, not quite. Ashland's defensive line, number 99, Mike Shemek, his dad, recognized me. So I thought that was you. So we had a brief little chit chat. I thought that without having my appropriate gear on, that I might be able to go and recognize. But no, I think it's always great because, when you go to Division II games, there's a lot of players and their families who are in the stands, and it's great to see that support. And they watch the show, and we definitely appreciate the support that they give to what we do. So really, really enjoyed. I always enjoy meeting people when I'm out of games.
And you know what? I have that same thought. This is all like one community. I think the small college community that we're in with this, and absolutely, and I really enjoy. I mean, I had a chance to talk with fans from both sides up at my game, so I can totally identify. Berg, don't get too deep in that wine. I still got plenty. You got to unpack here, fellas. So, Berg, when he sees Winston Salem, you only gave up a 50 as the Johnson C. Smith Twitter handle said they gave up a 52 piece, I think is what they said, and they were mentioning food, so it immediately caught my eye. But Ferg, would you like to tell us a little bit more about that game?
Well, this game wasn't as close as what the score indicates because Winston decided to really score some points in the fourth quarter. They had only 6 points at the end of the third quarter. I mean, it was just a brutal outing for them. And JCSU as a program, the way they've been able to elevate over the last 3 years has been quite remarkable for a squad that really hasn't had a ton of success in football. I think what adds in salt to the wound is their defensive coordinator Barry Tripp is a Winston-Salem State alum, and Coach Flowers had talked about how he lets him sort of run the head coaching duties on Winston week. So I think that one taking out his alma mater is quite interesting in my opinion. But hey, I get it. It was great planning on them. Kelvin Durham continues to lead the quarterbacks and the offense for Johnson C. Smith, and they were just very balanced. I mean, it's just incredible. It's incredible what they've been able to do to get over 500 yards of offense in this game. So,
how about on the other side? It feels like not that long ago we were talking about Bowie State on a pretty regular basis for whether it was the coaching turnover, things like that. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are as to why maybe Bowie isn't what they were, maybe a handful of years ago, maybe not even that long ago, and kind of where you think Virginia Union's at right now.
Well, one of the things that I like to do during the week is I actually do call into press conferences that some of the coaches do have, and one that regularly has a press conference is Dr. Alvin Parker at VUU. And I asked him, about this game, and he kind of alluded to, Bowie for a few years was a team that VUU could not get over.
Right.
I think, Bowie might be a little bit of a victim of their own success when Damon Wilson left and went to Division I, and they kept, Kyle Jackson on the staff and elevated him as a first-time head coach. He had some success early on. He just wasn't able to sustain it, and it's just been a challenge to keep things moving for Bowie. And as for VUU, who is right now one of the models of continuity in the conference, 24 points is a quiet day for them.
Right.
The nation's leader in rushing, Curtis Allen, again 200 yards. It feels rather quiet because this game wasn't really it was like, I think it was like 7-7 or 10. No, sorry, it was 10-0 at half. It wasn't like some blowout or anything like that. But some games you just want to just get out of it, right? And you're just surviving, make sure nobody gets injured. And I just feel like that was a game like this.
Sure, I get it. We're going to go ahead and move, Ferg, to what ended up being a real big contest this last week, Albany State and Benedict. Now, most of us picked Benedict because Benedict looked like they were pretty hot coming on in, but we had some concerns about did they have enough offensive firepower. And Ferg, a guy that not a ton of people know about for Albany State, quarterback Isaiah Knowles, is a guy who, when he's healthy, he's right up there with probably just about anybody in Division II. Now, you being the stat guy you are, I know I'm talking your world, but tell us a little bit about this one and kind of your take on it.
Well, to me, the only reason why I didn't pick Albany in this game was because the status of Isaiah Knowles was not really known, and he hadn't played for a couple games. I mean, so they've been able to weather, playing against teams that they could easily overmatch, and this one really didn't play out in Benedict's favor because Benedict's defense is, I think, what creates some easier opportunities for his offense, and they just didn't have that opportunity in this game. Benedict only mustered 217 yards of offense, and I don't think that really surprises anybody when they're matched up against a team that's even. But yeah, they just really struggled. And when you're trying to play catch up, I mean, that 3 that you see for Benedict was in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was a brutal outing. So Yeah, I mean, to me, it played out more like what I thought it would with Isaiah Knowles. We just didn't really know if he was going to play in this game, and he went and he passed for over 294 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Do you think Albany looked at, Benedict started getting top 25 love, and Albany not quite as quick to get that. Do you feel like Albany looked at that as like a sign of disrespect, and motivate him a little bit more in this one a little bit, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think not just that, but early on in the season, we were talking about Edward Waters a lot,
Right.
and so all in all, that one loss that they have is an FCS loss, and so you know, those who really pay attention, they know Albany was certainly a really good team. Isaiah Knowles actually, before he went out for injury, he was one of the top most productive quarterbacks in Division Two. Like
Right,
he's that good.
right.
And so, but I think that there was hesitation just given, how would they hold up if they had to play their backup against one of the top teams, and they did all right with Kentucky State, but then you got Benedict as another one, and I think that probably was a hesitation. I think now there's probably going to be a lot more comfort in swapping those teams out in the top 25 if voters choose to do that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the respect to Albany is one of those. I think is clearly. I think clearly the respect's going to come late for them, because I think there's plenty of folks who, when they go vote, whether it's the other coaches, whether it's in our poll, see the one loss next to them and don't understand that that's not a D2 setback. So you got to kind of look at them through a different set of glasses. But on the other side, Edward Waters still is in the mix. They only have 2 setbacks in Division 2, right? So they're still in the mix, rocking away also, right?
Yeah, and just to briefly note that they were actually down to start the fourth quarter to Clark Atlanta, and then they reeled off 28 points in the fourth quarter and over 600 yards of offense. I mean, the way they were just able to turn it up when they absolutely needed to, it was critical in this game.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Ferg, I'm letting you off right now with going ahead and moving on over to our guy Poe. Poe, real big outcome. We mentioned last week, speaking of kind of late respect, I think Newberry fits that description a little bit, because, we had all this other eye candy with Carson Newman and Emery and Henry and Lenore Ryan and who am I forgetting here? I'm forgetting somebody.
Wingate.
I was going to say the defensive stalwart.
And even Catawba. I mean,
Catawba. And who's emerging right at this moment as the top team? It looks like Newberry, doesn't it, Coach?
It does. They last year they were a little quiet, had a little bit of a down year, and I think they've done a great job responding and coming back. Don't look now, but they just grasped the South Atlantic Conference #1 spot right now with this big win this past weekend. Guys, this was a back and forth game all night between them and Emery and Henry, and it was a game we picked on our pick'em. I think Emery and Henry got out to a good start, got up to a 7-0 start. Newberry comes back. They tie it up. Emery and Henry takes a 14-7 lead, take a 21-7 lead. Emery and Henry takes a 21-7 lead in the second quarter at Newberry. That's a feat in and of itself. If anybody's ever been to Newberry, then Newberry chips away. They get a field goal with 3 minutes left in the half. They get another touchdown with a minute left in the half, and they go into the half down 21-16. To Emery and Henry at the half. And then the second half, third quarter, was owned by Newberry. They score, get 2 touchdowns there, make it 29-21. Emery and Henry gets the ball back. They score in the fourth quarter, guys, make it a 29-27 game. And you're like, hey, this thing's getting good here in the fourth quarter. This is anybody's game. It's been back and forth. Newberry scores with about 10 minutes left to make it 36-27. And as the clock ticked and ticked and ticked away, you realized time is just going to run out on Emery and Henry. They're not going to have a chance to get back in here. They do end up scoring with about 48 seconds left, and it ended up being 36-34, but a great game in the South Atlantic Conference. A big win for Newberry at home. Not taking anything away from Newberry, but Emery and Henry went there and they competed and they battled, and it was a great South Atlantic Conference game. So a really, really good classic game there. Emery and Henry, now 6-3, 5-3 in the league, and Newberry's now 1 loss, and they've kind of grasped that that spot with 2 games left here to play against Anderson and Carson Newman to wrap the season. And then the other side of that, Carson Newman, gosh, they were up 21-0 at the half on UVA Wise guys, and they just cruised into that in the second half, 340 yards rushing on the day, kind of doing what Carson Newman does. So big win for the Eagles at home. I think it was homecoming up there in Mossy Creek as well. So a good win for Carson Newman. Wow. Wingate, we talked about them, their defense. Guys, they held Anderson to 171 total yards of offense on the day. That is huge. That defense has kind of been quiet, or at least I feel like they've been quiet all year, because usually we're talking about their defense, and they're known for their defense. But they showed up in a big, big way against Anderson on Saturday, scored 30 points, and I think just kind of said, hey, don't forget about us in the South Atlantic Conference race. This thing's not over yet. And then on the other side of this one, West Florida hosted West Virginia State, 55-0, guys. That 6 points from West Virginia State was scored as time expired in the game. So they absolutely dominated West Virginia State, did West Florida, and big showdown looming this week with Delta State. So impressive win for West Florida.
Agreed. Well, guys, that's the end of our wrap-up of the games. We're going to go ahead and do our pick-em here shortly. But before we do, we need to mention our sponsor. And for anyone who may have interest in going ahead and opening up their own bosses, wherever you may live, they are open to it. So go ahead and take a look on their website, look for franchising opportunities. Even if you just want to be able to go ahead and eat the food yourself. I mean, whatever it takes, Now, as we move on forward, I do need to go ahead and mention, this is a new thing. Ferg, this is something that I'm going to come to you on. 45 minutes.
Dang, Ferg.
As many. Well, and Ferg, you can choose to pass, but Super Boss boneless wings, as many as you can in that time period. Ferg, how would you do something? And by the way, that we have some. This was from the Key to the City, where we had in Sioux Falls, where we had on the left some Sioux USF players, on the right some Augustana players. Apparently going against each other. I wish we would have had some video that would have made for some good promo. But Ferg, how would you do with something like this? Now, would you do better with boneless or just the real, or does this just sound like a bad idea altogether?
Well, I feel like the real would actually be better than the boneless,
Okay.
And I think the question is, are we talking about fresh or frozen? If it's fresh, then maybe the boneless, but if it's frozen, then certainly the real wings do better. And in either case, the density of the chicken, the chicken breast is just a little too much than the chicken wing. So I think the wing would be my choice in this challenge.
Some interesting distinctions made by Ferg there.
Scientific. I like it.
Tony, would you try your hand at something like this, or is this just too much of what us fat people do?
I am not man enough for such an endeavor, Whit. That is, yeah. I mean, when you got Ferg breaking it down and talking about density and all these other kind of things.
Yeah, he was getting kind of particular there. I'm not as an eater, Ferg. I'm nowhere near.
When I hear that,
but that's probably why I'm the perfect audience for this.
All I can think of is, hey, I'm Marty McFly, and I'm going to hit on somebody by saying I'm their density. That's,
Right.
So I got nothing when it comes to eating wings.
Coach Poe, I have a feeling, Poe, that you would actually go down this road with me of stupid ideas.
Oh, there's no doubt I would absolutely go down this road with you. But I have one question before we go down this road. What is the record right now?
You know what? I may need to. I think this is a brand new thing that they have going. So I don't even. I think this is uncharted territory for them. So I don't have those answers, but
because I would say yes, Whit. I'm game to go down this road with you. However, if like that goal of winning is like unattainable, then I'm not going to put myself through that and feel miserable for a week.
Well,
just to try to
because my pizza eating partner from a year ago.
I'm looking at this going like, what's the incentive? Okay, it's 45 minutes. You eat as many as you can. To what end? Just to see if you. I mean, do you get to put your high score on the Frogger machine or what? I mean, is that all? Is that all it is?
Is it sauced or unsauced? Do you have to eat any fries or anything too? I mean,
Well, our guy Brandon, funny he's mentioning this because he was my pizza eating partner when he decided. When I remember we went to take our second gasp at the Big Pizza from Boss's a year ago, and I was like, we got you ready? And he kind of looks at me and he just kind of goes, I don't think so. I got to be honest with you guys, my will to do it at that point sunk. You know, it's kind of like we're in the huddle on 4th and 1, and guys, you think we got this?
Nope.
No, I don't think we got this. I can't block him. I don't think we got this. But no,
I still want to know what the goal is here. Just again, put your name at the top of the list.
Right.
Like, if you break the record, do you get to eat all the wings for nothing? I mean what? Do you get the old 96er T-shirt? I mean, come on, help us out. What do you get?
I just feel like if you're going to do it,
I'll let you call him during the show. But yeah, I'm assuming this is kind of name on the wall type thing. Is be my best guess.
Okay,
but the no bathroom breaks, no leaving the table. It looks like they've considered everything here. I would rather see like a half hour. How many like traditional bone-in wings can you do? That'd be a little bit more my speed. Back in a previous life, I did win a Hooters hot wing eating contest amongst a bunch of other guys on a Saturday. We went there at noon, and I cleaned house, and you had to chug a beer afterwards. And let's just say I didn't have any trouble with that. But I know this is shocking to our
19,
audience that I would do anything like that. But
I would say at 19, I managed to get my name on the wall of a restaurant for eating a specified number of chili dogs within a certain amount of time. So I've done it before, but man, that was back when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Well, enough about food there for a moment. And our guy Dykstra, of course, wants to nuke me here. I'll tell you what I won.
Good
John,
question,
at that
John.
time. I won an extra large T-shirt, and I won a screensaver. Remember, guys, when a screensaver was a thing back in a former life, when
what was on that screensaver?
Pay money for those things. Ferg has no idea what we're talking about.
Kids will never know. I do know.
Exactly. But well, games of interest, guys. Every week there's something here. I think there's some interesting games. I'm kind of curious, Poe. Do we think that Valdosta, after having a few weeks off, getting their offense right, is this a dangerous game for West Al all of a sudden?
Yeah, I think it is. I think Valdosta's good enough to beat you. That's the thing. You can't look at their record. They played good football this weekend. I think they're good enough to beat you. You look at West Alabama, they're in a little bit of a slump, lost the last two. This is a big win more, I think, or a big game rather, more for West Alabama, because they've got to break the skid if they want to hold on to any playoff hopes. Because I think a 2-loss team will get in at a Super Region 2. So they've got to handle their business this week and get a win. And if you're Valdosta, you're going to play the role of the spoiler this year. You have the opportunity in the next couple weeks to knock off one of these teams that's thinking, hey, we're making a run in the playoffs.
No doubt. Now, some other games, guys, that may be kind of colorful. New Mexico Highlands isn't a team that we have on a real regular basis in our Pick'em area. The fact that they're in a position where they're playing a game like this with Colorado Mines, with both teams 5-3, kudos to them. Another game that I look at here, East Stroudsburg, and I go ahead and I take a look at that. And if they were to beat Kutztown there, all of a sudden they're in a spot where they could actually, put themselves in a conference championship type game. So with these conference championships and all that, guys, there's kind of a little bit more to unpack on some of these. We talked about Catawba a moment ago, Catawba and Carson Newman. It seems like the SAC has got a whole bunch of teams at the top that are all kind of battling. And I think we're it's musical chairs at the top, and finally I think the music's about to stop. But
and to your point, Whit, not to keep it going, but that's both 2-loss teams right there. Newberry still has Carson Newman on the slate. So
right.
A 2-loss team right now, you're sitting good. This is a big win for a big game for both these teams. They've got to get a win if they have any chance at wanting to maybe win a conference championship.
Totally. I mean, it's a case of like some of these games like that, Catawba, Carson Newman. That's just like the one I went to this last week,
Yeah,
where I
it
mean,
is.
it's almost a play-in game to some extent. You know if you lose, what's going to happen probably.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, good point.
well, this is and Chuck's not even here to go ahead and
man.
enjoy the fact that he went 5-2 last week.
It's all right. We can talk about that.
Ferg and Palizzi, hey guy, what's going on with you guys? You care to speak to this at all?
Someone needs to be last. I guess it might as well be me. Shoot.
I put
I
too
don't know.
much faith in West Al. And so, well, that's not even the worst loss. So Southern Arkansas, man. What the heck?
I was okay with that. I ended up being on the right side of that one, but just remember, I was getting shamed about how I wasn't giving Benedict enough love. Then I take Benedict, and I'm just saying.
For what it's worth, the D1R guys all had Tiffin too, so I didn't have any stragglers or shotgunners here in this one. But at least those guys were feeling what I was. They damn near did it too.
Very good, yes. So, guys, here we go into our next set of games. Right away, we've got. I can free up my Saturday. I may stop on over for this one. Northern State, and all of their 600 yards offense, and I want to say they're leading the Northern Sun in offense right now, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to come play at Augustana, a team who right now they played Sioux Falls, that was over 500, and I think that's the only team that they've played over 500 this season. Now, Augustana's got Richard Lucero Jr., true freshman, who will be in his third start, if I'm not mistaken, and Northern State coming on in. Interesting game. Tony, who are you taking in this one?
Oh, brother. I think a lot of us were on Sioux Falls and kind of the toughest game that Augustana had all year. And, for all intents and purposes, Augustana kind of got outplayed for most of that game and still found a way to win it at the end. I just look at Duluth's defense. Not Duluth, Northern State's defense, and just kind of go, hey, where is it? Right. These last couple of games, it's I don't know, man. Heavy let down after a big win on the road. I don't know. I'm going to take Northern State anyway, just because I feel like this is still a lot to ask for a freshman quarterback. And even though Augustana, again, 8-0, I got to give them all the credit in the world for winning 8 games. I just, they've had, one of these not easier paths, but let's just say less complicated paths within the Northern Sun thus far this year.
I think the numbers bear that out. I think there's no question about that. Coach Poe, which way are you going on this one?
Yeah, I think this is a toss-up for me, guys.
For sure.
I'm with you, Tony. I don't know that there's a clear path. I think I can make a path for both of these teams to win on Saturday. I like the fact that Augie's at home. They have a young quarterback, but I think being at home and getting some comfort of kind of where they are, I'm going to take Augie in this one.
Fair enough. Ferg, which way do you go on this, buddy?
Well, when I look at what Northern State's been able to do and some of the big games that they've won, it's been in the friendly confines of the bank. Now the question is, what can they do on the road? They've already been to Sioux Falls once and lost. They lost to Bemidji on the road. And so, unfortunately, I think that there's about to be a withdrawal, but it's not going to be Augie. Augie's not going to lose this game. I don't think Augie's going to lose this game. I'm going to go with the Vikings.
And you know what, Ferg? You gave away my thought there. Is if this was at the bank, I love Northern State up there. Unfortunately, I think this is one of those cases, and I've said this before. I think it's one of the bigger home field advantages, especially when they have night games there. That team plays with an energy in that place that I haven't seen in a while. And the problem is like you alluded to, Ferg, is all that energy, they're going to be playing a 1 o'clock kick at Augustana during the middle of the day and probably get a little bit chillier. And that's a whole different situation than playing at the bank in a night game. I think at the same time, Northern State's defense has started to lose some of their top players. Jake Adams, their middle linebacker, did not play the other day. He's the kind of guy who plays on a good football team and has 150 tackles a year. Gabe Gutierrez, D-end for them, who was leading Northern Sun in sacks. He's out. I just think it starts to become a big ask. And Augustana is very comfortable at home, and I think that they want to prove that they are the team that they're getting ranked as right now. I'm going to take Augustana here. Funny thing is, we have someone in our audience, their SID, Andrew Thurston, who was some may recall that he might have cooked us a few weeks back when Augustana came back and won. Andrew, I appreciate you stopping on in. You were probably hoping for a whole lot more Northern love at that point, but sorry to disappoint you. But I think we all like Northern a lot. I think we all like Northern. It's one of those things where you're going against an undefeated team at their place. It is what it is.
Why block energy right now? Yeah.
Right. Moving to our next game. Oh, I like this one. Findlay going on the road to Northwood, 8-0 against 7-1. Ferg, I'm starting with you on this one.
Findlay, keep rolling.
Findlay, keep rolling. Tony, is it that easy for you? How do you see it?
No, it's not that easy for me. To me, you can look at it one of two ways. You can either say Findlay is one of those teams that just figures out how to win games, even when it's ugly. Or you could say, man, boy, at what point are they on borrowed time? For Northwood, they haven't been 7-1. I think 2006 might be the last time they were 7-1. I mean, that's Pat Rietma playoff run Northwood. back when they ran the wood bone, and they would throw for like 49 yards a game. So, this is a new coaching staff and a new regime and just a whole, all these kids that are on the team now were, and still in diapers last time that, Northwood was in this position. So do they know how to win these types of games and get over the hump? I just feel like week in and week out, it seems like Northwood's defense has just been that little bit of stingy enough where I wonder if Findlay's inconsistency on offense doesn't finally trip them up here. I mean, these last 3 weeks are when it's all going to get decided, right? Northwood's got to play Findlay. I think they still play Ashland and Tiffin, if I remember correctly. And Findlay still has to play this game. They still have to play Tiffin. So, Ashland. Ashland's the other one they still have to play. So I'm just gonna take a flyer and take the Timberwolves.
There's some huge games left in the GMAC. With only a few weeks left. Coach Poe, which way are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Oilers in this one, guys. I just think they've been in some closer games. I think the defense is a little bit more primed and ready for this one. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I'm going to take Findlay in this one.
I feel over the last 3-4 weeks, I like better the trajectory of Northwood than I do Findlay. If the Findlay defense can stop them, then Findlay's got a chance to win the day. But I just feel like Northwood's playing really good football right now, and I'm going to take them at home in this one. But a real interesting game to keep your eyes on. Angelo State. We got some interesting games this week. At Central Wash. Now, Central Washington's only got the one setback, and that was at Montana, so that doesn't go against them at all from a D2 standpoint. Ferg, which way are you going on this one? Is it Central Wash at home, or do you feel like Angelo's got something for him?
Yeah, I'm Central Wash. I mean, I just think that they're the more complete team. I think they're definitely healthier at this point in the season. And I'm just curious to see what Angelo brings here. I think that they've been able to string a couple of wins, but yeah, I'm going with Central Wash on this one. I think that that's pretty easy for me to say.
Tony, how do you see this one?
Boy, every time we've had Central Wash in these discussions, they've overperformed, and we've seen Angelo let us down a couple of times to where Central Washington is just playing so consistently and so reliably week in and week out. They're at home. I just think that's a lot to ask for Angelo to go in there and knock them off at this point. I'm taking Central Wash.
Coach Poe?
Yeah, the one thing that really sticks out to me in this one, guys, is the travel, right? Angelo State's going to have that's a long trip for them.
Mm-hmm.
Every bit of me is saying take Angelo. Just every time I pick against them, I guess wrong. So that's weighing on that too. But no, I think it's a really long way to play. I think it's a really far way to travel. And to your point, Central Washington guys, they've been consistent. They're take that one loss against Montana out of it. They're consistent, and that means something at home. I'm going to take Central Washington in this one, even though I don't feel great about taking them. I'm going to take Central Wash.
Since I have a sizable lead in the pick'em, I just like starting off sentences that way. But
Wow.
You know what? I'm going to take Angelo here, guys. And there's a part of me that says, "What are you doing?" Their offense is not. They have not looked the same against capable opponents with Braden Fuller in a little bit here since he got hurt. At the same time, I feel like they're a physical and athletic enough football team that they can slow down Central Washington's offense. That's what I'm going to bank on here. I just got to feel. I mean, I think Coach Gersh does a nice job down there. And I'm going to take Angelo here in the upset. Frostburg State and Cal. Interesting ball game here, guys. Frostburg's doing great this year. Cal has had their moments. They beat Slippery Rock, and then they lose other games where we think that they should have won. It feels like they played a pretty darn good schedule, though, without me looking at any numbers, though. Tony, which way do you go on this one, buddy?
Beats the hell out of me, man. I mean, these PSAC teams, man, no matter what I do, I always get them wrong, and Cal's one of the big culprits. I actually finally was successful last week in the Gold Bowl, so there's a big shine for myself for the year. I still am in that position of where I think Frostburg has been kind of on the come the last couple of years, and then they ran out of gas last year. Obviously, they've corrected that this year. Still kind of a big ask to go up to a good California team on the road who's ticked off after having gotten beat this past week. I don't know. This is turning into the Northern Sun, too, where teams that you think are all of a sudden going to slide come back up and win the next week. So I'm going to take Cal, but this is a coin flip game to me.
Okay. Ferg, Frosty or Cal?
It's your turn to be exasperated.
Well, I feel like there's this feedback loop where this year we've seen 3 teams play each other and they all beat up on each other, right?
Yep.
Now you have that situation with Cal losing to Charleston.
I knew you were going there.
And now Frosty, right? And I mean, it's just, I don't know. And then I feel like also when I step out on a limb, it just bites me.
So by that reasoning, I think you might be leaning towards Cal.
Yeah, I think in the end, as much as I'm tempted to pick Frostburg, I think this is another prove-it game for me that they can do this out of conference.
Okay.
Yep.
And so I'm going to go with Cal as well.
Poe?
Yeah, this one for me, I'm going to take Cal, and I think it's just when you look at both these teams and you dive into both of them, I think Cal has had to play a little bit of a tougher schedule from top to bottom, and I think they're a little bit more battle tested for this game. Not taking anything away from Frostburg State sitting at 7-1, but I just think that schedule means something if you're Cal, and I think they're going to be a little bit. They're just going to have a little bit more of an edge going into this one. So give me Cal.
Well, you know what? You guys are giving me Frosty to take here. I'm going to take him. I was kind of on the fence here with this game. I really was. For some of the same reasons that you guys were saying for Cal, I can't disagree with any of it. They're on to their second quarterback at this point, Peyton Hill, who's done fairly nicely, by the way, in the last few weeks. But I'll take Frostburg in this game. I think they got a good thing going this year. So I'll take him right here, guys. We'll see.
Man, I just feel like at this point, if Frosty wins this game, they're going to collude with Augie and Ashland to troll us.
Yeah. But
it is.
But you nailed it, Ferg. It's a feedback loop thing, right? I mean, it's just like you can't make any of it make sense.
Well, and you know what? I can't knock anybody for taking Cal because I think they are very battle tested, no doubt about it. So next one up, Clarion and Slippery Rock, guys. At Slippery Rock, how do you guys see this one? Tony, I'm starting with you.
Man, you and your damn PSAT games.
Wait, Joe, by the way, while you're thinking about it, he's giving me a hard time and says Witt, who wouldn't let Frostburg in the top 25. I didn't have Cal in there either, so there you go.
Come on,
this is the same thing too. I want to pick Clarion. I really do. I just feel like Slippery Rock is more battle tested.
Okay.
So and they're at home. So yeah. I'll take Slippery Rock.
Ferg, do we think the Rock at home, or do you like Clarion here?
I'm definitely Team Rock. I just think that with Clarion, some of the big games that they've certainly played against has not really panned out. You know, you got Edinburgh that they didn't win against, and Cal, and I just think that
those are both tight games, though. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the Rock at home. I think that's the other piece of this, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the concern I have. I'm also a little concerned because, you know, Anthony Guercio, the really standout quarterback for Clarion, you know, I think he's the one that kind of like does a lot of driving of that offense, and not quite the game that you expected to have last week on their last game. And so he's really got to step up for the upset here. You know, I like Clarion. I like what they've done this year, but I'm Team Rock on this one.
Fair enough. Poe, which way are you going?
Slippery Rock.
I think I'm going Slippery Rock as well, guys. All of us going Slippery Rock. Then as we move forward, West Florida at Delta State. Yeah. Each week there's one of these with the Gulf South where you just kind of pause and go, okay, which way am I going here? Ferg, I'm starting off with you. Do you feel like Delta is the team at home? What do you think?
Man, I mean, Delta at home is always an enticing pick. I mean, but I mean, this is West Florida we're talking about, and I'm looking for Delta to be a little bit more consistent for me to really to take this game. I think they can do it, but to me, the safe pick is West Florida on the road.
West Florida on the road, says Ferg. Tony, how do you see this one?
Yeah, I picked Delta 2 or 3 times this year and been successful with that, in part because, again, I think their defense has tended to be more predictable. But, boy, these last couple of times it's gotten dicier and dicier, particularly this past weekend. And are the deep shots going to be there against West Florida? I don't know that. And I feel like West Florida's offense, you kind of know what you're going to get a little bit more than maybe against the last couple of teams that Delta's been able to do this against. So I don't like going against I'm usually a dance with who brought me type, but I think I'm going to take West Florida as well.
Coach Poe, this is your world, buddy. How do you see this?
West Florida is 2-1 against Delta in the last 3 meetings. They lost in 23 in the playoffs, if you remember. But I think, and the reason I say that was at Cleveland, Mississippi, and we all know how tough of a place that is to play down there at Delta State. And I think that definitely is a 1-up if you're Delta State. Having that home field advantage, is a tough place to play. However, I think when I compare these two teams and I look at them and I look at both these teams side by side, I think that West Florida offense is just a little bit more potent than Delta State right now. And I think for me, that's the difference maker in this pick is West Florida's offense. And so I'm going to take West Florida on the road. I don't necessarily feel great about this pick, guys, because I do think Delta State has the ability to win this football game. In convincing fashion, but I'm going to take West Florida in this one. I just think their offense may be a little bit too much for Delta State, and they're going to I don't know that they can keep pace with the Argos.
I'm going to take the Argos. I'll tell you why. I think their defense is better. I think West Florida gets after people up front. When I watch them, they have quarterbacks under duress and trying to get out of Dodge. And I think West Florida's defense can be sneaky good. And it kind of takes a little pressure off their offense also to do their thing. I like West Florida in this game on the road. Whew, they keep on coming, guys. This is a tough week and some big games with huge playoff ramifications here. So we got CSU Pueblo playing at Western Colorado, 7-1 ball club. Pueblo's only setback is Fort Hays, week 2, whatever it was. And then we got Western Colorado, who probably hasn't played quite as tough a slate, but had a big one-sided win in the back half of that game, a week ago with Colorado Mines. So, Ferg, I'm coming to you first, buddy. How do you see this one?
I think you make some excellent points here. I would say that like Pueblo has a little bit more battle tested, but I do like what Western has on really both sides of the ball and their ability to have resiliency as well. I'm going to go with Western. I'm going to stick with what Drew Nash and company have been able to do. So yeah.
Tony, how do you see this one, buddy?
Boy, this was actually, when I saw this one on the docket too, I just began to really struggle because I love Western's defense. I love how physical they are. But one of the few teams that could possibly do something with that is Pueblo. And I've seen them, find a way to struggle their way through and win games against teams that were playing some pretty good football without a lot of their best guys. And now you're starting to see Roman Fuller's playing at a really high level week in and week out. Reggie Retzlaff is still there making plays. Rakowski's been back and healthy and playing well. Dvorak is back. I don't know, man. It just seems like, some of those guys would come to the fore, even as some of the other receivers have started to get healthy. It just seems like Pueblo's kind of getting everybody back and rolling at the right time. It scares me on the road with them, but I don't know what it is. For some reason, I'm going to take Pueblo. I don't feel great about it, but I just feel like this is the spot that they've got to go out and prove that they can beat the best team in their conference. And I think Coach Vigil is going to have them ready.
Coach Poe, we got one for each side so far. How do you see this?
Yeah, what is interesting about this game, when you look at it, is Pueblo has the number 1 offense in the RMAC. Right behind them at number 2 is Western Colorado. Flip that now. Go to defense. The best defense in the RMAC is Western Colorado in points per game given up, and number 2 is Pueblo. So this is really a matchup of literally the top 2 teams on both sides of the ball, and it doesn't get any better than that. This is going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think you made a lot of really, really great points, Tony. You made a lot of really great points. I think, Pueblo just seems to be hitting their stride. And I know Western Colorado's at home, and you think, hey, they're at home. That's got to mean something. But there's just something going about Pueblo right now that, hey, think they had to slip up earlier. I'm going to take Pueblo in this one, and I think they may they're going to get after Western Colorado a little bit here. It should be a fun game to watch.
A year ago we had the very same game, very similar circumstances, and Pueblo went in there and had over 400 yards passing, and kind of was a one-sided game, almost a bit of a rout. I know it got in within 10 points at the end, but Pueblo won convincingly. I just feel like this might be a tough matchup for Western Colorado with the way they can sling it. Now, I think Western Colorado is going to have moments where they get home with that rush and some of the Jekyll and Hyde looks that they give you up front and the blitzes. But I also think that Roman Fuller is a seasoned enough quarterback that I like for him to weather some of that storm. I like Pueblo in this one. I think it's going to be a fantastic game, though. And once again, I don't think any of us will be surprised to see Western win that one. Well, guys, let's go ahead and before we kind of move into any questions or comments or otherwise, Flow Sports is the one that we want to make sure we give thanks to this week more than anybody else. Got some good video from them. Always kind of a great thing, that we've got so many schools that are on that one platform that can be accessed. And I think I'll be honest with you, I think that their service, meaning how good the stream is, has kind of gotten better over the course of the year. I've seen less and less where we've got glitches with different things and stuff like that. I know that's not always a them thing, but I just wanted to kind of give kudos. I think I've had more success viewing games and less challenges of late. But guys, we're going to go ahead and move to the questions area here, and I'm going to go ahead and put in a few that we have. Poe, can you kind of block us off if you would? Poe, you're looking at us like, there you go, like a dog who heard a weird noise.
I got you. I heard it called that before, Whit. So
okay, fair enough. We have Braden here who's keeping track of the fact Braden is on staff there at Delta, so they are keeping track of us. So if we get it right, are you going to go ahead and celebrate that on your Twitter as well? We'll see. So funny how that always works. We find a way of disappearing in those moments, don't we? Guys, let's go. There's an interesting question here. I want to get your thoughts. Maybe more than just one team, but what program has improved the most over the course of the season? I have one in mind myself. Who else comes? Who comes to mind for you guys?
Well, I mean, I don't think any of us saw Northwood going 7-1, and that's maybe not necessarily them improving over the course of the season, but it's I think they've gotten better. I think West Florida's better now than they were at the beginning of the season. I think Pueblo actually is playing a lot better right now than they were. Saginaw Valley's definitely playing a lot better than they were at the beginning of the season by leaps and bounds. We're going to know just how much so with their last 3 weeks. They got to play Davenport, Ferris, and Michigan Tech over the next 3 weeks. And I think Michigan Tech's a team that has played better this year than we thought they were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, the two teams that stick out to me, coming from down Super Region 2, I think, definitely one would be Catawba. I felt like, they had a lot to play for this year. They've gotten better as the season has gone on. And the other one is Newberry, guys. One loss, they've just kind of gotten better and better and better every week we see them. So I think they're peaking and playing their best football at the right time. So,
Ferg, one team that when I read this, I'm looking at it kind of also as since the year began. And frankly, for me, that's Northwest.
Oh yeah.
With the way the Bearcats, when I saw them early in the year, and that's shown marked change since that point in time. Guys, who else comes to mind for you that you've seen improvement throughout the year?
I was going to mention Fayetteville State, who started, like 0-3, and then that when we look back at the 0-3 that they played, like one was the FCS team, but one was Benedict and the other one was UNC Pembroke. And I think Pembroke's another one that has been able to pull off some upsets that we weren't expecting as well. So I would say those two really stand out to me.
And up your way too, Whit. Man, I think Bemidji, after starting off the rough way that they did and maybe losing some games that we would have never thought they could, they've actually had a couple of quality wins here over the last few weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at a team like Ouachita as well. They started off really poorly, and they really got back on their feet. I felt a comment here from Inkblot. I think this is a good thing as well that the D2 community hasn't split into factions. I got a chance to see a little bit of that myself. That D3's kind of got their own little segments and so forth, and that's not kind of the way necessarily we have stuff here. But it is what it is. But no, let's see. Question here from Joe. I wonder if there'll be any shift of regions for some teams. Long ways to, and what he's indicating is, will they ship a team off to another super region? I haven't seen the appetite for that in a few years. It feels like back when they originally had that idea, you saw Kearney get shipped off to Super Region 4, which at that time was with Northern Sun and those guys. And then it happened one other time with, what was it, Virginia Union, right? Going to SR1, do I have that right?
Yep, that's correct.
And that was a distance thing. And so I haven't gotten, in talking with folks who have been on the regional committees over the years, I didn't get the impression that they were in love with that idea, or that the feedback they got from the membership was that they were in love with it either.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll see it unless they really, really felt compelled to do it.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have a situation where it's like, okay, I'm just spitballing. Let's say Ashland, for some reason, is one of those 5 through 8 teams. And after everything shakes out, the only real logical spot for them to go is, let's say, Duluth.
Right.
Versus they could send them across the state line and go play, Slippery Rock or something like that. It'd have to be something really obvious. And I just don't know if there's going to be anything that sticks out like that. Because to your point, I don't think if they don't have the appetite for it, man, there's got to be some sort of a glaring example of where it's needed for them to want to actually play the card.
I think the one outlier is, Central Washington and or Western Oregon, because at that point it's a flight and it doesn't matter who you send out there. So that one really stands out as, if Central Wash has a home game, then you might see some shifting then.
Well, the only challenge, though, as I've seen, I've questioned about that before. And when they put somebody in a super region like that and they move them, they're also looking at their next game if they were to win. Yeah. And that causes some problems if you move them like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, it's kind of hard if you're going to really look down the line to that extent. I think that's a bit much. But, and even Inkblot mentions here, I've given up trying to guess super region shifts. And I can't blame Ink for saying that, because he knew it was in play and in the rules and well within the swing of doing it, but it was never coming to light, despite the fact there was some times where it seemed like it was the right thing to do. And I think there was a time a year or two ago where they could have actually saved a flight, and they ended up having another flight just to keep the regions, which didn't seem terribly intuitive. But and
Inkblot actually looked like that next game forward.
He did.
And they still didn't do it. So I mean, it just seems like it's just not very popular, like you mentioned with.
Well, so with that, guys, we've got the regional rankings coming on out tomorrow late in the day. We may or may not have that stuff fully updated for some of our programming, because they might come out with it so late that we're about to go live when one of them comes on, like our Northern Sun show, for example. But it is what it is. We're going to have the alphabetical 10, the list, the 4 different super regions with 10. If you see your team further down and you think it should be, remember it's alphabetized. Don't lose your mind. Don't go to social media and show your wrong side and then find out that you were wrong the whole time. But, it is what it is with that, guys. And I don't know if we're going to see, we're even going to know what much surprises we have at that point, because you're going to have 10 teams that's pretty deep.
So much football left to be played, man.
There sure is.
I mean, what comes
Yep.
out tomorrow
Oh,
is just so not indicative of anything.
And I agree 100% here with Daryl. This is a low value offer.
Agreed.
I'm not totally sure I agree with the idea of even bothering with it at that point. But I feel like it's doing it just so we can say we did it. But well, guys, I don't have anything more for us for the show. Any last thoughts as Ferg takes another sip of wine?
Well, there was a question in the chat about what was I sipping on today. And so in our wine segment, I have some Gamay rosé. And rosés can come in all kinds of different red wines. So you can always ask, like, what kind of red grape was used for your rosé? This one is Gamay. It's not very common. Most
Do you
Provence.
normally ask Ferg?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Most of the rosés you see from France are the Mourvedre Grenache blend, but this one's a little different. I prefer Cabernet Franc or Pinot Noir rosé. So thank you for attending the wine segment of our show.
Yeah, my extended wine is like MD 2020 back in the day, or champagne and ripple. But,
Boone's Farm. Whit knew every flavor of Boone's Farm.
Mad Dog 2020 was a whole full step up or Octane, one of the two. I don't remember which. But well, guys, and Poe's looking at us, going, "What is he talking about?" MD 2020. Berg, Poe, next time you're in the grocery store, go give a look for MD 2020. But well, guys, appreciate you guys and everyone in the comments. Thanks again, and have yourself a great week.